Okay, so salute to everyone out there. Hopefully your weekend went well, just like mine. Wow, there's a lot going on in the news. It's tough to cover everything in a short period of time. I have been taking a real close look at what's going on at the border, and now I have even more of a clear understanding. And I will state my case in this video. However, it's time for people to start getting seriously. And salute to all the brothers out there who are holding it down. Salute to you. So without any further ado, let's get into it.
On the Tijuana side of the U.S.-Mexico border today, mayhem. First, it was dozens of Central American migrants racing toward the U.S. border. Then it seemed there were countless. At times overrunning Mexican authorities in riot gear, climbing their way forward somehow. And no, that's not the U.S. on the other side, but it's close. In return, pushback from the American side was swift. U.S. military helicopters buzzed overhead as it appeared some migrants attempted to breach the border. And before long, from the U.S. side, tear gas fired toward the migrants. Among them, what appeared to be mothers with young children as the chaos deepened. This afternoon, authorities closed the border crossing for everyone in both directions. The migrants had been fleeing strife and poverty in countries further south. They seek asylum in the U.S. At least 5,000 are now in Tijuana. It's overwhelmed. The city's mayor calls it a humanitarian crisis. Today, demonstrators had been highlighting the need for a faster response to their plight. We came here to protest, to add pressure, she says, to see if we can cross into America. Indeed, U.S. authorities have been processing asylum requests, but say it'll likely be months before they can get through all of them. Meanwhile, security on the U.S. side has lately been stepped up considerably. For weeks, Donald Trump has been warning, without evidence, that the migrants pose a security threat to the U.S., citing them as further evidence of the need for a fortified border wall. All of it today leading to this. "We are not criminals," chanted many of them as they tried to force themselves northward.
And Paul Hunter joins us now with more. So, Paul, has the U.S. president weighed in on this?
Uncharacteristically, no, at least not yet. Tonight, reporters shouted a question to him about the border when he returned from a weekend in Florida, but he didn't respond. There's no doubt, however, that this absolutely plays into his rhetoric on the issue. The images of those migrants trying to force their way into the U.S. will almost certainly be raised by the president at some point, though one Democratic congressman tweeted tonight, "Firing tear gas against unarmed families is a new low." For its part, Mexico now says it will deport some 500 migrants caught today trying to jump that border, also sure to be more fodder for Donald Trump in his never-ending push for that wall. Adrian.
All right, CBC's Paul Hunter in Washington tonight. Thanks, Paul.
So what's going on is the border is on lockdown. Military has the border on lockdown. So the migrants, they are rushing the borders. So if you get caught, you get caught. If you slip through the cracks, you just slip through the cracks. You make it. That's how the immigrants, the migrants, the undocumented, the illegal immigrant is demanding to come through your country. I have a right to be in your country. And see, because they haven't deported a lot of the Hispanic immigrants, undocumented, illegal immigrants here, they haven't deported enough. The rest of them that are left in Central and in Mexico, they feel as though that, hey, we should be able to come. You didn't kick them out. Why the rules don't apply to them as they apply to us. So we are going to come through the front door. And that's what they're doing. And some of everything are slipping through those cracks. Now, you did have the military put up barbed wire fences. And if they put up barbed wire fences now, like, why couldn't they have done that 10, 15, 20 years ago? This is the shit that I'm talking about. This is the shit I'm talking about. And now you have a war at the border, and the Democrats are in panic mode because Kamala Harris may lose her judicial seat. So now they are like, wow, we are in trouble because these borders are wide open to the point where you have to start prosecuting these senators and these lawmakers here in California and just abroad that are backing these sanctuary cities. It is out of hand. And no one has an answer. The fact that you have people that feel like they can rush your borders and Mexico refused to do anything about it. Now, I do understand that Mexico offered asylum, but they don't want to stay in Mexico. They want to get out of Latin America. That's what they want to do. So they're trying to come to America, and that asylum passcode isn't working. The whole border is on lockdown. So what the immigrants are doing is rushing the border. If you get cuffed, you get caught, you got to go to jail. Okay, you got women, children, you got mobs that are attacking the women. That's what they're saying. Now, it could be provocateurs, but America is too focused on Cyber Deal Monday to understand the magnitude of the situation at this border. You can't have people storming your country. Okay, you can't, even if you feel a certain way about America, you should want people to be safe. You should say, hey, you don't have a right to storm someone's country and demand they be here. Like how do you demand that you should be able to stay here? How does that work? The military had to fire tear gas in the crowd to disperse the crowd. Latin America has collapsed, and you have to understand something. These people are fighting for survival, and that's understandable. You know, as a human being, I understand that. However, I can't do that to your country. And as a matter of fact, your country is all out of resources for me or anyone to even try to attempt to do something like that, right? We'll get our heads chopped off by the cartels down there. Right. And you see how, and I told you guys about these Hispanic men. I've told you guys the cartel is so big and bad. They're tough. Right. But they're not out there going toe to toe with that military. Where are the big bad Mexican cartels? They're nowhere. The migrants are going toe to toe with them. The people that have been walking for hundreds of miles are going toe to toe with the military. Bum rushing the gate. The Mexican mafia, they're nowhere in sight. I told you that. I told you about those guys. They have to outnumber you to make a move. And now safety should come to mind. Are you protecting yourself? Do you have, and another thing people don't know, these illegal immigrants, their rape numbers are very, very high. I can actually do a lot of videos on Hispanic men raping women. They show it on the news all the time. It is a lot of horrible activity that comes out of these groups, okay? And it is what it is. I have ran out of sympathy for humanity, and I understand it sound harsh, but if I ran out of sympathy for Black Americans, what makes you think that I'm gonna have sympathy for another group of people? It makes absolutely no sense. And I understand that you are trying to survive, but you're being picky. If Tijuana is going to grant you asylum, take it. They're gonna help you out a little bit. Take it. Why are you being picky? Beggars can't be choosy. You can't try to get to a country and say, I don't want to be here. I want to be over there. It doesn't work like that. And that's how people lose sympathy for you. You're like, come on, you guys. You're just taking full advantage. You're just saying, hey, I have a right to be here. No, you don't. In that mind frame, who told you that? And Trump should be talking about any illegal immigrant who kills a U.S. service member. He should be all over that. He's always talking about how he's for the military, he's for the police, he's for the first responders. Here you go, man. You had a first responder in a person that was broke down on the side of the road. Being a American, a stand-up black male, a stand-up Navy personnel by the name of Curtis Adams, 21 years old, driving down the freeway in San Diego, pulled over to help a illegal immigrant. He said, "Hey man, let me help you. You know, I see your car broke down on the side of the road." He guns down Curtis. His girlfriend's in the car screaming, calls 911. It would be really nice to hear the president or politicians speak out on this. We are at war, and I don't think people understand. And hopefully you are arming yourselves and protecting yourselves and being alert. It is on out here. It's on out here. And if you are not prepared, if you are not alert, or if you are not protecting yourself, or if you're out here lollygagging, then you cruising for a bruising, because these immigrants are coming to take your spot. That's it. They looking for you to slip up so they can take that spot. They have nothing to go back to. This is it. They're like, listen, I'll die at this border. I can't go back home. There's nothing at home. I walked hundreds of miles here. I'm not going to walk hundreds of miles back. I can't. I barely even made it here. And you'll have people like me, well, you're in Tijuana. They helping you out. Keep your ass in Tijuana. And what about the Army personnel brother who was gunned down in the mall trying to help out the police? Now, they're saying he wasn't actually in the Army. He went through the training, but he wasn't in the Army. So that could change. Okay. However, he did absolutely nothing wrong. And it happened in Alabama. Right? It did happen in Alabama. So you know it's going to have race being played a part in it. Was the cop just wanting to shoot somebody black? Maybe they're going to say he had on a hoodie. He wasn't in his uniform. And I am sorry for that brother's loss, but it troubles me to see black people still marching. It's time to put a plan into action. Marching is done. I'm sorry to break it to you. The owners of these companies, the CEOs, the bosses, all they have to do is send security or the police to clear you out. They don't care about you protesting. They're going to close their window to their office, put their feet up on their desk, and look at YouTube videos while you protest and sweat. And he's on 911 saying, hey, can you get these bastards, these idiots, these savages outside in front of my goddamn door? And Trump, I give it to him. He's fighting the Supreme Court. He's fighting these federal judges. He is fighting immigration. I give him that. And he has a tough job on his hands, but I don't think he is capable of handling what's getting ready to come down the road. I don't think he's prepared. I think he's too tied up with Russia and Ukraine and what's going on in the Middle East. And he's trying to be hard on the borders, but you can't be hard on the borders when the immigrants don't respect you. And they don't respect you is because you normally let them through. And it's do or die for them. There is no going back. They don't have a home and they do not want to be in Tijuana. They're picky. And I wouldn't want to be in Tijuana anyway. And this isn't going to stop until some type of immigration bill is passed. I do not know why they cannot pass a immigration bill, a comprehensive immigration bill. I have no idea why they just can't get it done and get it over with. Why keep kicking the can down the road? Okay, they're going to have to find a way to agree on something. However, if they want to stop the flow of illegal immigration, shut down Section 8, shut down welfare, You got to shut all of that down for illegal immigrants. You got to cut the water supply off, man. You just have to. You have to stop hiring them. If you stop all of that, you don't have to put troops on the border. They're like, listen, hey, you guys, it's all dried up. The well is all dried up. I was sent this news article from my partner that always send me news articles through the email, and it was about this black lady and her 5 kids being evicted, kicked out of their home on Thanksgiving Day, right? And because of a voucher or some other things financially, and maybe her children are like putting holes in the wall and stuff like that, so the landlord said, hey, you got to go. Kicked her out. And what's happening is black people, if you're on Section 8, you're on vouchers, whatever, you're being kicked off of that. And Maria and them are being placed on there. These immigrants are saying, hey, I can't pay for you guys and these immigrants. These immigrants are new. They're the new Democrat zombies. They're going to vote Democrat. So we want to compensate them and put them in a Section 8 housing and flood your schools.